Good evening. It's a little past 7 on February the 20th, 2021. So a very warm welcome from BlockchainLab Drenthe. My name is Adrie Wisman and I will be your host and the first presenter of the evening. But first, a small introduction of BlockchainLab Drenthe. We are a non-profit foundation with the goal to spread knowledge, experience and insights about blockchain and distributed ledger in general, amongst entrepreneurs, students, schools, governmental bodies and private persons. We do a lot of things. Do research, we develop blockchain applications, do feasibility reporting and audits for companies that use blockchain. And our monthly meetups. Every third Thursday of the month, we organize this meetup you are attending at the moment. We're also involved in Interreg project Bling, where Bling stands for Blockchain in Government, which is a transnational cooperation between 13 parties in 6 countries who do research for using blockchain in public services. Now, we have an interesting agenda for you. I am going to fill you in on what's going on in the blockchain space. Then Jeroen Wester is going to talk about several different ways to store your crypto keys. A very important topic, since losing your keys is about the worst thing that can happen to someone who is active in the cryptocurrency field. And last, but surely not least, Jim Niemeyer is going to talk about the blockchain startup he is founding called Donate with Trust. But before I start, I have a service announcement. All of you know YouTube. Otherwise you would not be here. But not everyone knows the YouTube chat. Use the chat window next to this video to connect to us and the speakers, ask questions, put remarks. You will have to log in with Gmail because YouTube is a Google company and they want to prevent people posting anonymous remarks. Please tell us your name and where you're from, so we can get an idea of who is attending. After this live stream, you can also join us and the speakers for some informal chit-chat in our Jitsi call at this address. We will also put this address in the chat window so you can just click it. Now, without further ado, we will start our first segment. And our first segment, how could it be otherwise, is about Bitcoin and its astronomical gains in the past, in the near past. As you can see in this chart from the last month, it has risen from 32,000 to 52,000, and that's gigantic, right? On our January meetup, the price was 32,950. Today, the price was 51,700, which means that in the last month, Bitcoin has gone up 57%. Who would have thought, right? We have seen these double-digit rises the last 3, 4, 5 months, but it's getting incredibly out of hand. Last month, I also showed you what Ether was doing. Ether went up 41% in the last month, so Bitcoin gained a little bit of what they had lost in the months before, because Ether is doing much better than Bitcoin, as you could have seen. Now, beneath that, you can also see something different. Nearly every meetup, I look at market cap and Bitcoin dominance. And maybe you were there last year. We talked about market cap being 200 million, 250 million, all coins together over the whole world had a value of 250 million US dollar. Last month, that market cap, that total value, was 950 million, just a little bit short of a billion. And when they went through 1 billion, there was a large party, so to speak, that the value of the coins is more than the total value of Visa, and even more than the total value of the Swiss franc, which is a lot of money. But as you can see, this month market cap is at nearly 6 billion. So we went from 1 billion to 1.5 billion market cap. That is gigantic. I mean, it's the value of last year, 250 million times 2, which was gained in 1 month. So you can imagine that half the world is getting interested in Bitcoin. Now, you can also see that in the trading volume. Last month, the trading volume for 24 hours was 153 million US dollars. Last 24 hours today, that trading volume was 190 million. So there's a lot more going on the exchanges. And the last thing I want to point you at in this picture is Bitcoin dominance. Now, Bitcoin is the largest cryptocurrency in the world, right? And let's say roughly 2/3 of all money invested in coins is in Bitcoin. Now, last month, that percentage was 64.5%, and this month it's 61.2%. That's not a drastic change, but it shows that the altcoins, the smaller coins, are gaining momentum. People are also investing in that kind of coins, and even relatively more than in Bitcoin. So altcoins are on the rise. Now, this popularity of Bitcoin, we've seen that before, right? December 2017, this enormous gains has attracted the attention of a lot of people. A lot of people want to hop on this riding train, this to have some gains for themselves, and they're all questioning if the price is too high. But all kinds of people are saying, no, we're going to 100K or even higher. Now, this has been a little bit awkward for people who want to go into the market without paying large transaction fees. Because what is going on? As soon as you put a transaction on your wallet to buy Bitcoins, then this transaction is put into the mempool, the memory pool of the miners. And the miners take transactions from that mempool to put in the block they are mining. Now, the miners, as you all know, get a reward, a block reward for all the efforts they are putting in, and the proof of work they are doing, and the energy they are buying to let all these computers run. But next to that block reward, they also get the transaction fees. Now, as you know, the transaction speed of the Bitcoin network is only 7 transactions per second. But being a very popular currency, lots of people want to buy Bitcoins. And that's too much for those 7 transactions per second. Now, what you can do when you put in a Bitcoin transaction is you can determine the transaction fee yourself, right? And when we look at this graph, we see the transaction fees of the last year for Bitcoin transactions. Now, a year ago, that was 30 cents, 50 cents, 70 cents, no problem. But as you can see now, that has risen to nearly $20 US last week, and the week before it was even $28. Now you can imagine all these people wanting to go through the same door. If you want to have your Bitcoin transaction verified, confirmed very fast, then you put in a little higher transaction fee. Because now when the average transaction fee is $20 US and you put in, no, I just give a transaction fee of only $5 US, then your transaction will be stuck in this mempool. So there is a large pool, a swimming pool of 125,000 transactions, which are still waiting to be confirmed and put into a block. because the miners are picking out the transaction with the highest fees first. And that's creating a bit of a problem. So if you're not willing to pay $20 for a transaction, then you might get a delay of days or even weeks for your transaction is being confirmed. I believe the maximum waiting time for a transaction is 3 weeks or something. That is a big problem. We saw that in December 2017 also. In Holland there is this city Arnhem which calls itself Bitcoin City, and in that city you can buy a cup of coffee and pay with Bitcoin. Now with a transaction fee of 30 cents or 50 cents, that's okay. But if you have to pay $20 transaction fee for a cup of coffee of 2.5 euros, that is not done. That is a big problem. Now, all these people wanting to get into the Bitcoin game and increasing these transaction fees, there's another side to it. That mining Bitcoin is become very popular again, because prices shot up upwards of the 50,000 today. People all want in on the mining game, and there are large companies renting out mining rigs. And here you see a picture of a Russian company that says, well, we're stuck. We don't have any miners anymore. We're building 2 large facilities, very large facilities, extra. But even with those 2 gigantic facilities with all these miners inside, we're already sold out for the next 18 months. So if you are applying with their company to rent a mining rig, you'll have to wait nearly 2 years to get a rig from them. And what they are building is not even covering the growth for 50% of the Bitcoin mining market. So even if they're putting up these large facilities, there's still going to be a waiting time for maybe a year or maybe 2 years to rent extra power, mining power. One of the boosts behind what's going on in Bitcoin is this story about Tesla and Elon Musk. Here you see a title of an article of a few weeks ago. Bitcoin hits 43,000 all-time high, and we're already over 51,000 because Tesla invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. Now, Tesla didn't do that in one day. They didn't do that 2 weeks ago. They did that in 2020. In their end of year reporting, it showed that they built a position in Bitcoin of 1.5 billion US dollars in Bitcoin, and that gave other investors an impulse. It was an affirmation that it is something to invest in, relatively safe, because Elon Musk invested in it also. And Tesla accepts Bitcoin payments for their cars. Now, I'm very curious how that will be going. In Holland, the price for one of the cheapest Teslas is around 1 Bitcoin. I don't know if the price in Bitcoin is going up. Let's say to 80,000, will then Tesla still keep the price at 1 Bitcoin? So a Tesla would cost 80,000 euros, or if the price of Bitcoin is going down back to 30,000, do they still accept 1 Bitcoin? And then the Tesla price would be 30,000 euros. I don't know. We'll have to see. My guess is that they will convert to fiat, and then the price will be half a Bitcoin or 1.2 Bitcoin or whatever. We'll see. A company that saw that news about Elon buying Bitcoins tried to profit from that news and said, well, people, you see Elon is buying Bitcoins. We are a company called Free Wallet. Store your Bitcoins in our online wallets. That's the best thing you can do. And it's free. Elon Musk responded directly, and he said, your app sucks, and crypto wallets that won't give you your private keys should be avoided at all costs. You, investor, will talk about that in the next segment. Online wallets are very unsafe, and Elon did not waste any time to point that out to the public. Last month, I reported about an IOTA app, a blockchain app that is being used at Frankfurt Airport to show COVID test results when you are flying to other destinations. Today there was news about schools in the US using blockchain to store test results of their students. So to open up the schools, you can have this app show that you are COVID negative and participate in all what is going on in the school. So more and more people are using blockchain apps even if they don't know it. Maybe that's one of the positive things. Not only did the pandemic give a boost to digitization and working from home, but it also gave a boost to blockchain applications, using their immutability and transparency for all kinds of COVID applications, and making the adaptability much larger than without the pandemic. The last part of this segment is always about scams, and most of the time that's some negative news. I mean, we try to show scams to show our attendees what not to do in the crypto world. Today I have some positive news. Chainalysis, a company which tracks all kinds of anti-money laundering on the chains, not only Bitcoin and Ethereum, but all kinds of alt chains, reported that in 2020 there was a 53% drop in illegal use of cryptocurrencies, right? Money laundering, extortions, and all kinds of other stuff. It is a myth that you can use all these crypto vehicles in an anonymous way. Chainalysis is specialized in tracking what is going on and where the money is coming from, and all kinds of banks are using their service. So $5 billion again kicking in, and there is a rise in more than 300% of revenue from ransomware. And you've all heard the high-profile ransomware cases from hospitals that have caught this ransomware and have to pay, or a university in Holland, in Maastricht, had to pay for ransomware because they hijacked the computer system of the university. Now, one of the driving forces behind that ransomware are a large hacker group from North Korea called Lazarus. And the US has charged 3 of their most prominent hackers with criminal charges because North Korea is doing this in a very professional way. And as you might know, Korea is a very poor and dictatorial country where not everyone has internet. So only government groups have the infrastructure to do these hacks, and they are using malware like WannaCry and all kinds of other things that they are breaking into crypto exchanges, cracking people's online wallets, and take the money to finance all kind of stuff from North Korea. The next thing in this segment is Bling, a blockchain in government project from Utrecht, has put out a magazine. It is more than 80 pages with all kinds of news from the partners and showing their blockchain applications. I have put a link to the PDF in the description of this YouTube movie. So if you have some time to spare, go ahead and read what is going on. Our project with self-sovereign tendency is also in there. It gives you a good insight of what's going on within Bling. And if you have time to spare, then maybe on March 3rd, you can attend the midterm conference, where lots of speakers will talk about blockchain applications. Even we will be there talking about self-sovereign tendency. Danny Drenthe is going to show where we are with that project in the moment. So on Wednesday, March 3rd, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there will be a Zoom meeting where these interesting topics will go by. That was the last slide of this segment. What's going on in the blockchain world. Okay. I don't see any questions in the chat. So I hope this has all been very clear and very useful. Like I said, do not hesitate to ask any questions. We are more than happy to help you. But since there are no questions, I'm going to go to the next segment where Jeroen Wester will explain a lot about how to safely store your crypto keys. And I will switch over now.
Hello, this is Jeroen Wester. Welcome to the presentation Safely Store Your Cryptos for the Meetup in February 2021. Okay, this is going to be a practical presentation with do's and don'ts. And we're going to cover the following topics. First of all, we're going to talk about the nice topic, where are my cryptos? Second, and more important, the second topic is more important, how do I know these cryptos are mine? And third, and then we get into the practical do's and don'ts section of the presentation. How do I securely store them? And we finish the presentation with a few takeaways. So probably at the end of this presentation, you should be able to define your own storage and backup policy for your crypto coins. So let's get started. And let's get started with receiving an email message. A typical scam email message. That there is some kind of problem. A company database has recently leaked in this email message. This is all imaginary. Of course, some things are compromised, and you need to click on a link. And when you click on this link, you might fill in your credentials, and you might even lose all your cryptos. Again, imaginary situation. But this is all the introduction to the presentation. Suppose that the amount of cryptos that you lose by clicking that link and filling in your credentials, the amount is considerable. Well, in that case, safe storage of cryptos should be on your radar. And please keep on listening to this presentation, because there might be some tips for you at the end of this presentation. If the amount that you lose, if the amount that you have lost is lower than considerable, well, then the following slides might be less interesting, but you should keep on listening anyway, because then you learn something about storage policies. If you still have your cryptos and you didn't lose any money, and you're a happy person, well, maybe this presentation could help you in keeping them. Okay. let's talk location. Let's talk about where cryptos are, where crypto coins are. Well, why is this an interesting topic? Well, the number of users using, for instance, an exchange like Coinbase or Binance is growing every day. And probably it keeps on growing for the next couple of days, weeks, months, because of the high Bitcoin price, for instance, and the high prices of the other coins too. So with the number of users in this space growing, the need for a storage and backup policies also grows. And I will explain that to you. Well, imagine that you do a little interview, for instance, at a party or at the coffee table, and you know that the person that you are interviewing does something with crypto coins, even has them. Just have this question on the table: where does this person think that the coins are? Where do people think their coins are? And you get a number of answers. One of the answers that you might get is the following: well, actually, I don't know. And that is probably a very honest answer. And the reason why people say, I don't know, is that they expect that these coins are treated more or less the same like normal money, like euros or US dollars. And that there is a bank or something like that that keeps a balance of these coins for you. So that there is actually a bank facility that keeps the coins at a certain place, that is accessible for you, accessible for the bank. Well, in crypto country, there is no such bank. There's also no help desk that you can turn to in the case that you might have lost your crypto coins. So you need to you are on your own. A number of people would say, okay, I have cryptos and I store them at an exchange, for instance, Binance. Well, there is a very practical guideline here: be careful, because these cryptos are now not under your control. They are under control of the exchange. I think the guidance here is, don't do this. There is the danger of this exchange being hacked. And when this exchange is hacked, or your account on that exchange is hacked, then you could lose all your crypto coins. Here you see a Binance hack where 7,000 Bitcoins were stolen in 2019. And there is a long list of all these of hacks that are of these exchanges. So be careful with this, don't do that. Another answer could be, okay, I know where my crypto coins are. They are on my computer because I have a piece of software, a crypto wallet installed on my computer, and I safely store my crypto coins on my computer. Well, also be careful in this case, because you need to be sure that this computer is really your computer. Your computer, yeah, okay. Think of malicious software. Think of hackers actually controlling your computer. Think of key logging software installed on your computer, and maybe your crypto coins could be taken away. So be careful with storing your coins on your computer. Last answer: I could also store my crypto coins on my phone. I have a software wallet on my phone. Well, some people argue that might be a better solution. Maybe not the best solution, but maybe your phone is better protected, better guarded than your computer. People use crypto wallets on these phones, but then you have the problem, okay, what happens when my phone gets stolen or drops in the water or is dead for some reason? Have I lost all my crypto coins? Well, you have. So, okay, we need to do something. We need to fix this situation. But before we do that, we're going to dive a little bit deeper on the question, how do I know my coins are mine? where are these coins actually really? Is there some physical location where these coins are? So we're going to have a small, not too deep dive. Well, here's one of our favorites, Andreas Antonopoulos, and he has a very funny YouTube film where it takes about 25 minutes or something like that. And the only thing he says in this 25 minutes is, not your keys, not your coins. And he keeps on repeating that. And when you look at storage and backup policies, you will see in the field of crypto coins, you will see this phrase, not your keys, not your coins, many, many, many times. So there is something with keys, and they are connected to your coins. So what is that? Well, crypto coins, they have no physical location. They are not really somewhere. Actually, the coins do not really exist. They do not exist on a device or not even on your hardware wallet. Actually, your crypto coins are represented by a private key. A private key is used to have access to your balance, to the value that is stored. And these private keys, they can have a location. They can be in a hardware wallet or in a software wallet. So when we're talking about storage of crypto coins, the thing that we actually do is storing key information in a safe place. Okay, a little bit deeper dive, because now we're talking about private keys or keys, but we also should talk about seeds. Well, when you look at Bitcoin, then the private key is a 256-bit number, and the number you see has some letters and digits in it, and together this is a very strict private key that gives you access to what is stored in the blockchain and the Bitcoin network. In order to memorize this private key, people usually write down or store somewhere a seed. And the seed in this Bitcoin network is 12 to 24 words long. And you see an example there at the bottom of this slide. And you can use that seed to generate the private key. So when you store this seed in a safe place, you can always generate your private key out of that. And with this private key, you have access to your Bitcoin. Well, that's interesting. So that means that safe storage of cryptos is actually safe storage of your keys. Okay. Now, let's get real. What different ways of storage are there? Okay, we're beginning with a diagram. Well, that's very cool. Usually I end with a diagram. Now I begin with a diagram. There are two types of storage facilities for crypto keys. And you could divide them roughly in hot storage and cold storage facilities. And the difference between the two are that the hot storage facilities are connected to the internet. You are online. You can immediately use the wallet to do, for instance, payments. And the cold storage facilities are offline. It also means that the hot storage facilities are less secure. And it means that the cold storage facilities are more secure. It also means that the hot storage facilities are more convenient, easier to use, and the cold storage facilities are a little bit harder to use. Okay, I'll give you a few examples. You see here mycelium. That is a Bitcoin wallet. So this wallet is only capable of storing Bitcoin. Here we have copay on the right side, and that can be used by multiple users to make payments from one account. Very interesting concept. Frequently used BRD, BRD, I don't know how you pronounce that. You also make use of this on your phone, and very convenient if you have multiple crypto coins. Here you see an example on the screen of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more Bitcoin Cash, and you can store them in one wallet on your phone. And Jax, that's the last one that I showed to you. Okay, very cool. These are examples of software wallets that are usually used on your phone. But there are also hardware wallets. And these hardware wallets, they're actually small computers. Small computers that run a wallet on a USB type device that you can connect to your computer to make payments, for instance, and that you can also take out, and then the thing is offline. So the keys are stored in this hardware wallet, and they are not connected to the internet, to your computer or to malware. So you can be really sure that your keys are private on this hardware wallet. In order to make a payment, so to use coins that are stored in this hardware wallet, you need to connect it to your computer and then, figuratively speaking, taking out the Bitcoins or other coins and make the payment. So that's less convenient than when you have a software wallet on your phone that's directly connected to for instance, a website where you need to transfer money to. So less convenient, but more secure. But you can also think of creating a basic paper wallet. And that's also an example of cold storage. It's offline storage. So what you do when you create a basic paper wallet is that you write down a seed, or write down a private key, or safely generate a QR code for this private key, write down the public address where your Bitcoin, in this case, is stored, and you store the piece of paper in a safe place. Well, there are a couple of things to don't go in naively in this. For instance, the part here you see a nice example where a QR code is generated of your private key. Well, there are beautiful websites where you can generate these QR codes for the private key of your Bitcoin. Prepare yourself very well when you use these kind of websites, because you do not want them to have your private key. Because if they have the private key of your Bitcoin, you're not longer the owner, and then it's not your keys, not your coin, not your Bitcoin in this case. So there are, you can look it up in the internet, there are all perfectly well thought out procedures for this. So start a website with a key, with a QR code generator. Take your computer offline, generate the code, make a copy of that code, clear your caches, and then reconnect your computer to the internet. Please be careful with this. Storing in a safe place. Okay, this is of course very important when you have, for instance, you make use of a software wallet on your phone, and your phone drops in the water, gets stolen, whatever, doesn't work anymore. Then you need to go back to your paper wallet as a kind of backup to have access to your coins again, and you need to store this paper somewhere. So please do not put it in a place where it can get stolen. And maybe you should also, you put it in a safe, so it is resistant against fire. But you might also consider to store it on multiple locations. And there is a nice way of storing it in multiple locations, but on every location in a partial way. So imagine that you have a seed which contains all these words, and you store every column in this matrix in a different place. When one of these places, the piece of paper, gets stolen, you can always regenerate your complete seed by combining the two papers from the two other remaining places. So with this practical way of storing your coin seed, you are resilient, you've hardened yourself against the loss of one of the three locations. Very good way, a very simple way of doing that. Okay, then here's an overview of different storage facilities, an exchange to basic cold storage. And you see that there are a number of criteria: security, ease of use, and risk of forget. Well, on the exchange, the security is very poor, but it's super easy to use, and there's a low risk of forget. People who might, oh, here, I'm going too fast. People who see Bitcoin and crypto coins as a kind of banking mechanism, they might consider storing it on the exchange. But the general advisors don't do that. Then there are also a kind of web wallets. So there are websites that say, okay, we have a wallet, you can use it and you can store your own coins in that. It's considered to have a poor security. These websites can be hacked and you could lose your money there. But very convenient, easy to use, and a low risk to forget. Yeah, and then you have a desktop wallet or a phone wallet. Security is high. Ease of use is a little bit lower than on the exchange, for instance, but you need to have your backup in place. You need to remember how you access your wallets. Well, and the last two rows in this diagram, then security becomes very high, but ease of use tends to get a little bit lower. And you need, again, just as the desktop and the phone wallets, you need to remember how to get access to your wallet. Okay, let's wrap it up. The do's and the don'ts. There's only one slide, the last slide of this presentation. When you have a considerable amount of crypto coins, then it requires a storage and backup strategy. And please remember, if you storage and backup strategy requires attention, maintenance, requires, well, it requires time. You need to dive in how to do it and how to do it properly. A don't. Second one is a don't. Stay away from storing on an exchange or on a computer. Please make it more resilient to attacks. Storage of keys on a phone wallet is an option, but if you only do that, then you are in danger. You need to think about a backup option. Better gets it when you store your coins in a hardware wallet, take it completely offline, and backup laminated paper so that when it gets wet, it still is readable. Put it in a safe, and please consider the multiple location storage of these seeds. Okay, that was the presentation. I hope you find it useful. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeroen. You are present to answer some questions, and I see a question from Gabriel from Dublin. He states, my coins are stored in an app. Would you recommend to store them better on the ledger?
My coins are stored in an app. Yeah. Well, well, looking at all these different storage and backup facilities, I think you should definitely try to do some cold storage, because there are, and I showed it in the presentation. There is a very elegant and very good way to use, for instance, hardware wallets like I already showed, to store your coins in, but also storing the
The seed.
the seed. Yes, I forgot the word, Ali. Thank you. The seed, storing the seed on paper, and doing that in multiple places in such a way that you can regenerate the seed with only 2 of the 3 places where you stored that seed. I think that's a very convenient, low level, easy to do way of storage and backup for your keys. I would definitely recommend these kinds of storage to consider.
Yeah, there are all kinds of beautiful solutions. People who are storing their seed on a piece of steel engraved, that when their house burns down, they can still pick up the piece of steel and read their seed, because hey, if you have more than a few thousand dollars of value stored on the chain, it would be a big pity if you lose that. And so you have to think about everything to prevent that kind of stuff. I've got this ledger where I store my keys, right? For different chains, I have different addresses in this ledger. It's a few tenors, right? And like I wrote, if this is in some way it burns down or damaged or whatever, I can still go to the store, buy myself a new ledger, put in the 24 words of the mnemonic, and have everything restored to that new ledger, right? Because even this can be destroyed. So please think about that. I've seen people losing a lot of money because they forgot. I mean, we all know the stories of this guy who had these coins mined on an old machine, and he threw the hard disk away, and now the value is, I believe, 75 million or something, and he's offering 20 or 30 million to the company that helps him look for that hard disk. Quite a risky endeavor, because even if you start digging, you never know if you're going to find that hard disk and if it's readable, right? But yeah, well, 75 million US dollar. I might get myself a shovel and shovel myself. I don't see any other questions. I want to give a pointer to the videos from Andreas Antonopoulos. Let me see if I can find that for you. Yes, here they are. Those, I'll transition to that. This is from the YouTube channel from Andreas. It's called AAN Alpha Alpha November Tango Oscar November Oscar Papa. You see it here. Can I point to that? Yeah, probably. It's a very nice channel. Go and look for it, and he's got a whole series of movies he made after the ledger hack was done. Right? Nothing was compromised, but you get these emails like Jeroen showed us, where somebody states, well, you have to update, give me your seed and I will help you, etc. And most definitely there are people who are, let's say, beginners, and that fall for some kind of scam like that, and give them their seed, they restore it and take all your money. That would be very nasty. Okay, so thank you, Jeroen. I think we'll go to our next speaker, and I'll look him up to connect. Let me see, we'll go to Jim Niemeyer about Donate to Trust.
Hello, my name is Juni Meyer. I am 21 years old and I am the founder of the startup Donate to Trust. Today I'm going to tell you something about my startup, why I started, about my mission, about more about the app, the advantage, and about my current status. So today, first I'm going to tell something about the problems, then about the opportunities. So what is this market? Are the trends? And also a bit about my journey. Then I'm going to tell about these problems, the opportunities, and how I'm going to solve these problems, use the opportunities, and for my startup. So what is going to be my solution? And then I will talk about the app. I will show you my work still so far, and about the current stage of my startup. Then I will give some information how to get in touch with me. So, my why. 2 years ago, I worked for 5 months in the winter as a door-to-door fundraiser for the charity Make-A-Wish. At that time, I needed a job. I also wanted to do something meaningful for the society. So I went selling lottery tickets, half of which went to a charity and half of which went to a lottery. But no matter how hard I tried or how friendly I was to the people, I'm normally very friendly. And during those 5 months, I hardly sold any lottery tickets. Every day I asked people if they wanted to support me by buying a lottery ticket to help sick children to let their dreams come true. But saying it was not enough. So no matter how hard I tried, I got more than 100 reactions almost every day with sayings like, "I don't know where my money goes. My money goes into the pockets of the directors anyway. I never hear those charities anymore." Um, yeah, and those people and their reactions were drawing in my head, and I couldn't let it go. So from that moment, I started talking with my friends, with other entrepreneurs, with teachers, donors, also with people from the blockchain community, and they all recognize themselves in those people because they don't trust charities anymore, just like the other. And unfortunately, no one had like really a solution for this problem. And at that time, I already had some affinity with a blockchain because of the cryptocurrency hype. So now you know why I started this. I was also researching about charities, what is actually going on. Then I found out that in 2018, donor panel did a research and revealed that 30% of the donors think more negatively about charities. I think that is in 2010, the Red Cross raised 500 million to support victims of Haiti earthquake, much of which disappeared into unviable projects. 4 US cancer charities used 200 million in donations to fund their own lavish lifestyles. And the World Wildlife Fund lost 150,000 regular donors in 5 years and was not the only charity with declining revenues. So, what do we have here? We have a huge problem because the donor is confused. You don't trust the charities anymore because the lack of transparency, fraud, corruption, and all the influence of the media. Because if a charity has like a huge scandal, it comes on the news, the donors watch it, or social media. But donors nowadays, they are more willing to help these charities, beat poverty, save Earth, and help humankind. But yeah, we need to they need to change something because otherwise the donors they won't give money because they don't trust them. They see only negative things in the news, and also the whole charity industry is really old-fashioned. you need something new. Transparency and trust are really needed in the charitable industry. And if you take a look at the opportunities, only in the Netherlands, 2018, 3.1 billion euros was donated. Quite a lot. And we have Generation Z. It's a whole new generation, which actually only mobile only. So that's a whole different approach. We have the whole digitalization area. Everything is going to be on digital and not like door to door. And also we have changing donor behavior and all of these trends. And of course, the most important one, blockchain, because blockchain let us think in new dimension. Blockchain, we really can create trust. And if the donors want to see more transparency, and because they want to see where their donation goes, or they want to see what happens with their donation, instead of just giving money and you never hear something from a charity again. So then you come by my solution. What is my solution? Well, actually, I want to create next step in digitalization. And mobile brings the functionalities of this easy. Then we have the community of the donors. They are really important because actually they decide if a charity does good or not. So it becomes review driven. The other part, charities have to tell their donors in an efficient way through digitalization, through the app, what they are doing, what kind of charities projects they have, and what happens in those charity projects. And then we can also use blockchain to create trust, to get out of the middleman. And if we do that, we can create tangible charity projects. We can create transparency because we can see where money goes, and that we can create trust. What will lead to more funds for the charities and more global impact because those charities will have more money to give to the beneficiaries. And yeah, about Donator Trust, what's my mission? Well, the mission of Donator Trust is to make a global impact through restoring trust in charities and using technology to connect people. By creating a community-driven platform on the blockchain, a digital charity management ecosystem will be formed with a focus on transparency and tangible charity projects. This will increase the trust for funding, leading to an improved fair economy and a new way of connecting charities with donors. So here we see a symbol of my mission, we see a symbol of community that's all connected, we see a symbol of technology what's creating trust, what will lead to more funding. So, features of the Donator Trust platform. Of course, I have a lot of ideas. For me it's important to focus now on a couple. So I chose these 5 ones. First of all, secure data. I think it's really important that the donors have control of their own data. Not all the parties have access to it. On the other side, smart match. Smart match is a new innovative innovation what matches the preference of the donors with the aspects of the charities. Because we have a lot of different donors and also little different charities. And it's a lot of time difficult for people to choose the right charity what suits for them. And one of the most important ones is that it's going to be community driven. Not for example, a donor panel says which charity is the best, or the marketing of those charities makes why they are the best. No, the community decides. They decide if a charity does good, and how, because the donors can see like, okay, how transparency is this charity? What are they doing? In which way are they communicating this to us? Then we come to the next point: track and trace of your donation. Because you have like these charity projects. In those charity projects, you have, for example, different milestones, different and in those milestones you can receive updates about the progress. And if you can see where your money goes, it becomes tangible. Then you get a good feeling because you can see, hey, that's nice. I can see where my donation goes. And this all will lead more trust. And if people trust charities more, they are earlier willing to donate. This is the whole point. You don't need the middleman anymore. And we have now a platform for all the charities. So the app. This is a small sneak preview. Here at the left, we see the World Wildlife Fund. They have a campaign. At the right, you see, okay, I want to go to home. I want to discover what kind of charities are there and what kind of projects. Search a charity or a project, so you can create a smart match. Well, about donor trust, I think it's really important to explain, okay, who am I and what is your mission. Then at the right, you see the project details, and you can select an amount of how much you want to donate and what you want to use. At the right, donation is complete. These are a couple of examples. And now the target groups. At the right, you see the users. First we have the prospect. They are mostly unknown, they haven't really donated. And then we have the individual donors. They have low intent, low quantity, high frequency. They are earlier, they donate more often. Then we have the major donors. They have also low intent, they have a high quantity because they donate mostly a lot. The low frequency. Then we have the corporate donors. They have also a high intent, they want, also a high quantity, but a low frequency. And the same is for the foundations. But they all have different things they want. The other ones face to face, the other ones over social media is okay, for example, or digital. So they all have a different approach. So that's important why you have like this smart match. So for every group, you have a good match of the charities. For example, charity communicates, for example, exactly where their money is going, or really communicates the impact or make it visual. Some people think that's important and only want to donate to them. Other people, they just think it's really important to help those sick children. So, community decides, they control. And then the advantage platform. First of all, inside donation. You can see in the charity project where your money goes, and every time and the charities they publicate their year ledger about where they spend their money on, and really easy to see dashboard. So you can see in a couple of seconds, oh, charity is doing this and this and this. Oh, I got a good feeling. I want to donate with them. Not those long and boring year ledgers that you don't know what to read because it's only for experts. And then we have the loyalty programs. Once you want to gift donors something for being on the platform, for the donating, what they can also give back to the society. Besides that, community controls. Yeah, I'm saying it every time, but it's really important because it's really about connecting the charities with the donors. Donors decide, hey, which charity is doing good instead of which charity has the most marketing budget. Then view on outcome of the donation. I think it's really important if you want to make it tangible that you see where your money goes, and charities can say that in the app, in their project, and that charities that fit the interest of donors. That is the smart match. And last of all, donate in fiat and cryptocurrencies. I know that my ideal situation is to only use cryptocurrencies, but in the Netherlands you have also a lot of other normal donors that only want to donate, for example, in euros. So I'm first going to to fiat and cryptocurrencies. And in the future, I only want to go further with cryptocurrencies. Well, the technology. I think a lot of you were waiting for this part. I decided to build my first prototype with Lisk because I have really good context there. It's an easy to build on platform or a blockchain, and for me, it's the best way to go. And if we take a look at how it's going to look like, then there you have the infrastructure. The goal here of is to trace the donations, and a part of it is filling in the data, donation, protocol, the organization. Then we have the second layer of logic. Then the goal is, okay, what kind of type of service? Because every charity has their own challenge. So, for example, it can be tracing donations or tracing a product what they are giving to their donors. So it really depends on what the charity wants. Then we have the white label. That is for the website, the API, and the plugin, and it's connected with the front end. In a couple of words, this is how it's going to look like, and soon more. The current situation. I'm currently having a basic concept. I'm going to test it with my launching customers. And I'm already talking from, hey, what do you want to see in the MVP? And yeah, how are we going to test it? We are going to test it in a pilot focus group of donors. And during my way, I'm currently now setting up my team. I already have some people from Lisk who are helping me, other people from the field. Now looking for more people, really take the next step. And besides that, I'm also now looking for subsidy and maybe investors. Focus now will be on subsidies. And if you're thinking it was a great talk or you have a great idea, please send me a message if you have any ideas for my startup. Yeah, here's my LinkedIn. If you scan the QR code, you will also go to my LinkedIn. Here's my number, so take a picture or something. I want to thank you for listening, and we see you next time.
Hello, Jim. Thank you for your presentation. And very nice to see that you as a student are already diving into the crypto space and starting your own company in the field of charities. Great. You're studying at Saxion, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, in Deventer.
Yes. Okay.
Deventer, yes.
Here says Gerrit asks a question. Can it generate a valid gift report that can be used for the yearly tax form?
Yeah, that's something what we are going to research, and that's my goal. So it will be yeah, you can get like this tax reduction. It will have huge benefits for companies, but also individual donors.
Yeah. Another question that I see here is Jan Taco. He states, well, blockchain is about cutting out the middleman, but aren't charities middlemen themselves?
Well, they are, but for charities, charities are facilitating the support, the money. So you need, in this case, those middlemen to yeah, to give those aid from A to B, because you can give it directly to those peoples, but are those people can they how do I say that? Can they take responsibility with that money? Can they spend it well? And also, for example, the ocean cleanup, they are doing like this great innovations, and so there's need like money for those charity projects, and only then we can really make impact and change. and also those people in Africa, for example, building schools. Those charities are actually building those schools.
Yeah, but you're also on your
And they,
platform making how do you call that, publicity for those small charities that nobody else knows. So you're something like becoming a booking.com, but then for charities and with very small fees, because when people donate in cryptocurrency, they can really see, because the chain is transparent, where that money is going, and if the
correct.
money is really going to the charity they thought it was going to be. So you'll do two things, right? So you'll make the whole donation process transparent and give people the trust that the money they put in there is coming out at the right end. And B, you are creating publicity for a lot of small charities that normally wouldn't have a chance of finding money here in Holland, because they are somewhere in Africa or somewhere in the Middle East or wherever, and
Yeah,
you're giving
exactly.
them publicity.
And that's also the smart matching system that you give your preferences. So what do you think is important, and where do you have affinity with? And based on that, you get an outcome. For example, some suggestions of the 5 best charities were matching with your criteria. That's really interesting. Another part is also that you receive updates about the charity project you gave money to or you donated to. So it becomes really an experience. It's not really giving money and buy, and then for 5 years later or a couple years later, you see something in the newspapers that the money went to the pockets of the directors. That's insane, right?
Right.
So that is actually my goal, to like create a new connection between the charities and those donors, and to use blockchain to create trust.
Yeah. So
And
so communication between
it's key.
the people and the donors is very important. Showing them
Yeah,
what the money bought and what the consequences are of the money they put into the system.
exactly. And for example, there are a lot of small charities or people who are doing next to their job. They're having, for example, a charity, and they're like, for example, building a school in Africa, but they don't have the money and time to build, for example, a whole website or imagine a whole app. So if you have like a platform like this, and you can communicate, for example, if you're going to Africa in the summer for like six weeks and you're building the school, that you can communicate to all the donors what you are doing with their money, and then they're like, wow, I gave money to this charity, to this project, and they're doing this with it. It's like it's so cool.
Yeah, you're
And that's what
creating
I'm going to realize.
stakeholders instead of donations.
Yeah,
These people really know that those bricks are bought with the money I donated.
yeah. And it can also be, for example, with food packages that you gave money, so that those food banks in the Netherlands, for example, are giving those packages to those people, and that you can receive a message of that, and for example, a picture, and then you can also timestamp it. And there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, great. I see here Jan Taco states, I certainly want to donate to your platform. So the first donations are lining up already. You just have to build it. But hey, people are very enthusiastic. Ronald Lanjau says, good work.
Thank you.
We keep in touch. And small charities are
Great to
very
hear.
personal and attractive. They need a certification. Well, that's what you're doing for a large part. Well, great. I have one more question myself. There is in the commercial space, there is already something called Patreon, right? I am a Patreon of a number of YouTubers, guys who just started and are still working their daytime job and creating lots of interesting content. And I donate $5 here, $10 there through this Patreon platform. But like Booking, they are keeping some part of the money, right? They are a commercial enterprise. So
Yeah,
they are keeping money like Booking does. Booking the percentages in booking for hotels are a bit larger. But what do you think that you will need to keep your company, your enterprise, your infrastructure alive? I mean, people want to donate, and they want to donate as much as possible to the people that they want to help. What do you think would be a viable percentage that you will need to keep the infrastructure alive?
Well, in the Netherlands, there are actually a known organization who also has this vision to disrupt the charitable industry, and they are asking 8%, and I think that's quite a lot. But here's the interesting part, because we got individual donors, for example, also major donors, but we also got businesses, and we got, for example, corporations. And one of my ideas is to see, okay, what do the donors think is okay? For example, will it be like 6% or 8%? But can we also do like an B2B B2B partnership with companies, and that they pay, for example, for the platform. They pay, for example, 10 or 15 fees. So the individual donors doesn't have to pay anything.
Right. It could be an incentive for their employees, and they would say, well, you can donate the money, and 100% will go to the charity. We as a company, we will pay the percentage that is needed to keep the infrastructure alive.
Yes.
That's a nice idea. Great?
Yes.
Great. Is there anything you would like to add, Jim? I will put your contact information in the remarks also. And maybe if there are people that would like to ask you some questions, they can do that in the Jitsi meeting, in the Jitsi call afterwards. I go and have one more question about proof of stake. I will answer. Thank you, and we'll see you back in the Jitsi call, Jim.
Yes, thank you.
There is a question about staking. Let me explain what that really means. In the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains nowadays, and in the past, they use proof of work to help to let the miners perform some kind of puzzle to generate a hash and make the block with data immutable. So the miners do a lot of work, spend a lot of electricity, and get a reward for that. I mean, every 10 minutes in the Bitcoin blockchain, every 10 minutes, one miner on the whole planet gets a reward of, at this moment, 6.25 Bitcoins. Well, that's still 300,000, a little over 300,000 US dollars. And the transaction fees add up to that, right? You saw the average transaction fee at the moment was 20 US dollars. Now, times 2 to 2,500 transactions in a block, being 40 to 50,000 US dollars on transaction fees in a block. So $350,000 are rewarded every 10 minutes to one miner. Now, that costs a lot of energy, right? That's how Satoshi Nakamoto meant to build up his network. You should spend a lot of work, you should spend a lot of money to make the chain secure. But in nowadays, there are tens of thousands of miners. That energy is stacking up, and there are a lot of people talking about Bitcoin in a very unfriendly way, that is ecological disaster, using so much energy. Now, there is an alternative, and it's called proof of stake. Instead of proof of work, where all these miners do the work at the same time and only one gets rewarded, in proof of stake, there is a random generator that appoints one miner, and that he is appointed depending on how much money he has got in that coin. the more money you have on your account, the bigger the chance is that you will be appointed. And the appointed miner, he has to check all the transactions in one block. So instead of 10,000 miners doing that, only one miner is doing that. Now, only one miner doing that would mean that there might be dishonest miners, right? That approve a transaction that should not be approved. Now, to prevent that, a miner who wants to be the one selected to approve these transactions and earn the transaction money and the reward, he has to put in a large sum of money as a how do you call that in English? As a borg, as a retainer. And so if he checks all the transactions, he says all the transactions are okay, and afterwards somebody checks the transactions and they are not okay, he loses his retainer, his stake. So he has to put in 50,000 euros to be the one to be approving that block and the transactions in there and getting the transaction fees. But if he doesn't do his job correctly, he will lose the 50,000 euros that he put in as a retainer. He will lose his stake. So proof of stake is ecologically much better, because the electricity consumption of the whole blockchain, the whole miner network, will go down, let's say, a factor 10,000. But you still need a mechanism to keep people honest, and staking money is used to do that. When you are dishonest, you will lose your stake, you will lose your retainer. I hope that answers your question. Okay, then I see no more other questions in the chat. Then I will go to my next screen and push a few buttons. And on that next screen, I have some things I have to do. First, I will thank, of course, Jeroen Wester and Jim Niemeyer for their talk. And like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. We will go into Jitsi. Maybe Jeroen or Danny could type in the Jitsi address in the chat so people can just click it. Our next meetup will be on March 18th, the third Thursday of March. And I already have one guest speaker who is confirmed from University of Oldenburg. And we will come up with some other interesting topics. Like a real YouTuber, I will ask you to subscribe and like, etc. The more people who are subscribed to this channel, the better the YouTube algorithm will put us on the list if people are looking for blockchain or meetups or whatever. So please do. Then I will hope to see you in our Jitsi call, and I will thank you for attending, and see you next time.